Well, good morning, and I want to talk about a book by Kurt Vonnegut again. I read another one. The one that I read this time was called Player Piano. I'm sorry, I put it away in my collection of Vonnegut works already, and I got this one out to read now. This is The Siren of the Titan. But in this video, I want to discuss the themes that go on in Player Piano. Player Piano was Vonnegut's first work, and it's probably one of his better ones. I think it was just an awesome read. It's one of his longer works. Usually a book of his like 200 pages, but that one and this one are like 300, so a little bit longer for Vonnegut. We have Sir Vonnegut with us today. I got this at a bookstore. It's the Unemployed Philosophers Guild, so I like this guy. I set him on my desk. Either way, Player Piano is set after a second industrial revolution, where you have the main character by the name of Paul Proteus. He is the manager of a business which I think it produces things. I think it produces stuff. I'm not sure what. I forget what the business was, but it's all by machines. It's all by machines, and basically it plays off how in the first industrial revolution, we basically machinized a lot of different things, and we basically, and this was in the 19th century, where we basically went from, having, we basically went to having, factories where people worked in, and, basically went and we machinized a lot of different things. This book is after a second industrial revolution, where even in jobs where one has to think, are eliminated. Basically where, basically many jobs are eliminated and and replaced with high level machinery. And Paul liked to go into the Ilium, New York work. He's the manager of the Ilium Works, and he liked to go into the building where the old machines were, the very old and not very high tech machines were. That basically the machines that people had to work at, but at that time, basically a lot of jobs had been eliminated throughout the whole company, not just in Ilium. And basically in Ilium you had the main part, the main high-tech industrialized part, and then you had a place called Homestead. Homestead is a place where people who were laid off, basically like a lower class part of town. But even then there were still some things. And why it's called Player Piano is because he goes into this bar to get a bottle of whiskey, and it's crowded. And he meets some people that he laid off, and he sits down. He sits down and has a drink with an old colleague of his named Infinity, who had quit his job because he was against this whole industrialized, machinized thing. And also, a priest named Lasher, I think his priest named Lasher was there too, and they all talked about how they were against this whole thing. And basically, the boss of that company, two guys named Kroner and Bear, they said to Paul that the main goal is progress, and anybody who doesn't really understand that, so there's something wrong with them. The main goal of this world is progress, to progress, to cause progress of everything. And I did a video not too long ago about, where I kind of deconstructed the idea of progress, and that video was kind of this book caused me to think about that. And basically what was going on here was Paul wasn't very happy at his job. I mean, his wife Anita was full on with this whole job thing, and then there are people that were trying to basically get the job in Pittsburgh, which is bigger, works bigger, everything, better pay, better everything. Anita wanted him to get this job. Paul wasn't so big into it, and mainly, Paul is just, realizes that he doesn't like any of this, and he finds this. I'm kind of going over a lot of different things. So I think you should probably read the book. The book is a great book, and I think it's best to read it. So I'm just kind of going over some themes to get the big idea of the book and sort of understand it in a philosophical way. And that's what I'm doing here for my purposes. Basically, there's this farm called the Gottwald Farm, which, given throughout the Second Industrial Revolution, it has been kept in its very non-machinized state, where there's a very non-high-tech farm. Had dirt floors, a latch-string lock, and everything, and by the owners, it was they had it that if anyone was to buy the place, it was supposed to be kept like that. Paul bought the place, and he wanted himself and Anita to quit his job and to get away from all that machinized stuff and just get away to a new serene life. And Anita is not on board with this thing at all. She's about let's just machinize this place, make it our own, and change it. But then pretty soon, what happens is they're going to this company retreat called the Meadows, where there's teams, and Paul is named the captain of the team, which means he's pretty high up in the company. And basically, the teams compete, and what happens there is there's this organization called the Ghost Shirt Society, which is run by Finnerty and Lasher, and they want to break down all the machines. They want to go against this industrialized progressive way that the whole world is going. They are against all of it. And Kroner and Bear want Paul to infiltrate that society and tell Kroner and Bear about it, because Kroner and Bear, they're just about progress, and they want to further their own ends and everything, whether it means the loss of jobs or whatever. And the whole idea of the player piano, I meant to discuss. There's this piano in the bar where he goes to get whiskey, in the bar where he meets Finnerty and Lasher, and it's a player piano in that it plays without a person. It plays without a person. It plays by itself. That's the theme of the novel, because it all the jobs that are lost are because of the machinized industrialized way of everything, and how we don't really need people except for higher executives to do those things. And friends of his, one by the name of Bud Calhoun, got fired, and there's a guy who's basically his enemy by the name of Shepard, who's basically his enemy, and kind of gets that he's not really all in this whole thing. And basically what happens at the Meadows is Kroner and Bear kind of make this fake charge against Paul and basically act like he's fired. That way he can go to the Ghost Shirt Society and infiltrate it. But then Paul gets to that society and basically says that he wants to run it. He wants to. His heart is in the same place as theirs, because he's met a lot of people who need jobs, who he has unintentionally laid off, people who have no jobs, no way of making money. and he's met people who need jobs, and he cannot give them a job. And he's totally against this whole thing, against his whole idea of progress, his whole idea of industrialization. So he basically runs that society and breaks down, and they all break down all the machines, and it doesn't really work out in the end for them, because the machines, the people who are about progress, they build the machines back up, and Paul is basically put on trial, and so are Affinity and Lasher. So I won't really go on it. That's the actual end of it. But that's the main plot. And I'm sorry for spoilers, but that's kind of what happened. And also, Anita divorced Paul and went and got with Shepard. So basically, the whole thing is that there's a whole problem in the world if we are trying to have this idea of progress and to industrialize everything. And if it's progress, then the whole idea of the whole idea of progress kind of collapses in on itself, because this whole idea of industrialization is useless, because it's not going to help anybody if nobody has jobs, and if nobody can make a life for themselves. It's a difficult thing, and Kurt Vonnegut is just an awesome writer. I love all the books that I've read by him, and I have all of his works. I own every single one of his works, and I'm really happy about that. But he's just, the whole thing about that is just that why should we do this if it's going to mean basically the end of the human society, where nobody's going to have a job, nobody's going to have a way to make a life, to have a livelihood. And I don't know, I feel like that the novel Player Piano, written by Vonnegut, was written in '56, I think, and that was a long time ago. And think about it now in 2016, as how far technology and progress has come now, and it makes me think of the book by I forget the person, but it's called Alone Together, and how it's about how we expect more from technology and less from each other. It's about how we kind of moving towards our phones, our devices, social media, and we're kind of becoming more apart from each other in that same way. So pretty interesting. So let me know what your thoughts are below, and read the book. It's an awesome book.